Hey friends, welcome to another Wolverine live stream. Um, I have so much to tell you about. So, as most of you know, if you've been following along, I am getting ready to have surgery on my right hip. And then 6 months later, I'll be having surgery on my left hip. So it's actually a series of 3 surgeries, possibly 5 if I end up getting my screws removed, which hopefully, I just realized my mic wasn't on. I don't know if you guys just heard anything I said or not, but um, as I was saying, I have so much to tell you guys. I am going in for surgery, and I'm having 2 procedures on my right hip coming up, and then 6 months later, I'll be having a procedure on my left hip. And on the right hip, I need 2 procedures. One is a labral reconstruction, and one is a periacetabular osteotomy, which is for hip dysplasia. But luckily, I don't have hip dysplasia in my left hip, so I only have to do that big one on my right hip. And on the left hip and the right hip, I'm doing labral reconstructions. So there's that. Last time I talked to you guys, I believe I told you that the date was August 25th. It got moved twice. So hey, Deanne. So I went to my brain is foggy today. I had a phone appointment with my surgeon. No, I went to my surgeon's office for an appointment, and then, hi, Melissa. And then I had their scheduler call, and they were supposed to give me an appointment on the 25th for my first surgery. So it turns out that the 25th wasn't available, so they moved it to the 23rd, which is fine. And then I got a call a couple days later saying that something came up. Apparently, my surgeon's family member needs heart surgery on the 25th, so they moved it to the 18th. So I am now having surgery in 11 days, and that's the labral reconstruction, teres shortening, and capsular tightening on my right hip, as well as femoral head reshaping. So that's a lot. And then it'll be 14 or 15 days in between. On the 29th, I'm having the PAO, which is the big surgery where they move my bones around. Thank you, Deanne. I appreciate that. So that's the first thing that happened, is that surgery went from being the 29th to being the 18th. So it's a lot sooner. I thought I had more time to get ready. So don't feel ready for this. But like emotionally I do, and I'm ready to be out of this pain. But like I have so much to do before we have surgery. Got to clean the whole house, got to do all the laundry, got to square away childcare. I mean, it's just a lot. So that is all happening very soon. And then we've had an eventful couple of nights. So, like 2 nights ago, my daughter got scared of something. Like I think it was the wind or something scared her, and so she came and slept in our room, and then she just could not sleep. So we were up most of the night. And then the night before last, my lovely, wonderful service animal Daisy went outside in the middle of the night, and she usually chases this rabbit that lives in our yard, and we try to get her to stop. We have tried so many times and so many things to get her to stop, and the only thing that we can think of is to keep her on a leash when we take her outside at night. But my husband was tired, and he didn't think to do that, and so Daisy chased the rabbit, but it turned out that the rabbit was a skunk. So Daisy got sprayed right in the mouth and the face by a skunk. And so for those of you that don't know, she is a rescue animal turned service dog, and she's a little bit anxious about water. I don't know what they did to her at our old house, but yeah, she got sprayed with a skunk. Now, luckily, I've lived in the country. I've dealt with enough skunks to know what to do. And so the answer, by the way, is not water, never water. The first thing you got to do is coat whoever it is, whatever it is, in oil. So we used coconut oil mixed with baking soda and massaged it all over her, and then gave her her very first bath because, as I said, she's trepidatious about water. We got spray stuff with enzymes that keeps her clean, but she had never actually had a full-on bath before. But she had to have a bath because we can't let her live like that. But she actually did really, really well and let me give her a bath. And then today I gave her another bath because she still kind of stinks. So we're working up to a regular bathing schedule. And before this happened, I don't think she would have let me give her a bath. And I have to be careful with my bones shifting around, so she wants to knock me out. But today she knew exactly what was happening. I told her bath. She went right in there. She stood in the shower. She let me wash her. And the only thing that she did that was, not normal dog behavior is she buried her face in my lap the whole time. So I'm scrubbing her, and her face, by the way, still smells like a skunk. So I had to change my clothes. But she had her head in my lap the whole time, and she just stood underneath that water and let me massage her. So she really enjoyed that. And I think she's starting to remember who she really is and not who her previous owners turned her into. So it's been eventful over here, to say the least. And last night I finally got some pretty decent rest. My husband is at work right now. He brought my daughter. And so it's just me and the dog in the house. And I'm just thinking of all the things I have to do. And I was like, I really need to get on YouTube and update these people because they think I'm having surgery the 25th, but it's coming up a lot faster than that. So my hope is that I can make a video either on the way to the hospital or once I check into the hospital for the first surgery. My surgery is at 11:30. I have to check in at 6:30 in the morning, and I can't eat after midnight, which is fine, but I want coffee, so that's really a struggle. Um, but I check in at 6:30, and that procedure I only have to stay for one night, and then I go home for the 2 weeks in between, and then I'll go to a different hospital and have the second bigger procedure. Yeah, Melissa, she did really good with the bath. So Daisy is when I got her, I didn't need a service animal because I wasn't as sick as I am. I didn't know I was sick then. And so I got her as a pet. But what ended up happening is I got sick and she just kind of naturally took on the role of service animal, and she has passed all of her public access and everything. She still has certain things that she's anxious about, but she does so well in public that it's not a problem. The things that she's anxious about are like water, and it's only like a mild trepidation. She's not reactive at all. So she's come a long way since we met her. When we first met her, there was no way I would have ever thought that she could be a service dog ever. Like she was such a mess when we got her, but she's much better now. So yeah, she's a good girl. She's very smart. She's actually a Rhodesian Ridgeback Labrador Retriever and I believe Staffordshire Terrier. She's a mutt, but she's huge and she's a natural puller. So she actually, it's okay. Everybody thinks she's a guy because she's so handsome, but it's fine. But she is a natural puller. And when I was walking before I started using wheelchair, I thought, I got to stop her from doing this. Well, I'm so glad that I could never figure out how to get her to stop doing it, because now I give her the signal and she pulls me in my chair all around the grocery store or down the street or wherever I need to be. And so, or at the zoo, she'll pull me in my chair all the way around, so I don't have to worry about my arms getting tired or anything like that. So she's turned into a really good service animal. She loves, she goes to the grocery store with us and everything. She does really well. And we've never had an issue with her, although I was accosted by a woman at the Target, like I want to say a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I was waiting at the pharmacy to get my meds, and I mean, Daisy comes in there with me every time. I've never not had her. She's always with me because she's a service animal. And Daisy's sitting there waiting patiently like she does, and sometimes she'll lay on the floor because it's hot, it's summer, and the tile floor must feel really nice, and she's just waiting. And this lady pops her head around the corner, and she's like, "Did your dog bite?" And I'm like, no, but she's working." Because usually when people ask me about Daisy, they want to pet her. Well, this lady goes, "I don't care about that. I have my chihuahuas in the cart, and I just want to know if it's safe to bring them over there." And I'm like, "I wouldn't." And she's like, "Why are you bringing an animal like that into the store? Like, why does she have a muzzle?" Because she has it's called a gentle leader. It's like this thing that goes around her nose. And people use it to stop their dogs from pulling, but that's Daisy's signal to pull. It's just turned into that, so that's what we use. So when I grab her gentle leader, she pulls my chair. It does kind of look like a muzzle, but it would be like the most ineffective muzzle ever. And so this lady is like accosting me. She's like yelling at me in the middle of the store. I'm there with my husband and my child. My son isn't there, thankfully, but my daughter is. And Daisy's just chilling, being a good girl. She's just hanging out. And this lady is yelling at me about my dog and how she's aggressive. And like Daisy has done nothing. She's literally just sat there and wagged her tail. Like she's not doing anything wrong. And so this lady starts screaming at me. And the pharmacists, people who know me, they know Daisy, they've met her. They just come around the corner, they see her around the corner. And so I get up to my turn at the counter, and I go to get my meds, and they're not ready yet. So I'm like, okay, we'll just come back later. And as I'm leaving, this woman with face tattoos, not that there's anything wrong with that, just an identifying feature. She's face tattoos. She's wearing like I don't know, it looks like underwear, like a Hooters costume kind of thing, but it doesn't say Hooters. And she's like screaming at me, and she yells "F you" to me in front of my child. She says, "Go F yourself," in front of my 6-year-old child and all of the people at Target. And so we go back out to our car and we're getting into the car, and then we see her leave really quickly and confused. I guess they kicked her out of the store because they have seen us in there a million times. We've never been a problem, and she was a problem. So I guess they kicked her out of the store, which good. They should have. That's the right thing to do. But I cannot believe that I had that experience. I've never experienced anything like that before in my life. It was insane. It was absolutely insane. I've never met somebody like that. And like, even if Daisy wasn't a service animal, the way that she approached the situation was so confrontational, because she could have been like, "Hey, I have my dogs. Is it safe to bring my dogs over there?" And I would have been like, "Yeah, it's fine." I told her to stay away because I don't know how her chihuahuas are going to behave. I don't want them to bite my child. I don't want them to distract my service animal. Like, I know that her chihuahuas aren't service animals. And she started yelling at me about how, "Oh, you can have a service animal because you're in a wheelchair, but I can't." And I said, "That's not what I said. I said, those aren't service animals, or you wouldn't have to ask me how my animal is behaving." So it was just, I mean, it was insane. And like, at first I was angry about it. And then as the day went on, I realized the ridiculousness of the situation. And I was like, I can't believe that just I can't believe that just happened. I mean, I've had Daisy with me at the grocery store, at Target. Like, the pharmacist knows her and loves her. They usually give her milk bones, like, exactly. I mean, I don't even have a problem with her having her chihuahuas in the store, but like the way that she acted, and then she tried to say that they were service animals, and I mean, it was just so confrontational from the beginning. If you guys hear barking, it's because the mailman's outside and it's us alone, so she's protecting me. Um, but I don't know. It was insane. I've never experienced anything like that. And I know that, like, Daisy doesn't wear the service dog vest, mostly because she has an undercoat. And so when you put on her service vest, it gets really like sweaty and itchy under there. And I'm not going to make my dog uncomfortable just so that she's a service animal. I don't need to do that. It's not required by law. Like, that's not my job to make you comfortable. She's there working for me. But yeah, it was such a freaking weird situation. And my husband pointed out, because he's more observant than I am when it comes, because I was just upset. He said that I think she was high. And I think there's a good chance that that is the case, because I've never seen a sober person act that way. But I didn't end up getting my meds that day. And that was kind of a pain. But I did eventually end up getting my meds. And I don't know if I can't remember if I told you guys or not, but I switched meds. Yeah, I think she was, Melissa. Like, she was definitely acting weird. And I mean, I was upset just because I'm not a very confrontational person. I'm a very gentle, loving person by nature. I'm just not fightsy at all. Like, I just don't get mad, And when she was talking to me, at first I wasn't sure that she was talking to me because the way that she was talking. And then it just was so upsetting and shocking. It was like, all right. And so it just was like, yeah, very hot tempered, very aggressive, hyped up, like talking really fast and loud, yelling in the middle of a Target at like noon. It was like noon on a Tuesday. It's like, so anyway, I mean, I let it go. It's just something that happened, and I thought it makes an interesting story, so I'd tell you guys about it. But the point of it was, I don't know if I told you guys, and I know Melissa wasn't here for this because she's new. By the way, welcome to the channel. I met Melissa in one of her lives, and I really like her. If you guys haven't had a chance to check her out, she's a sweetheart. So anyway, I was at the pharmacy to get my meds, and it took, like, as some of you know, like a month and a half for me to get, or not a month and a half, like 3.5 weeks for me to get my meds. I was on something called Butrans, oh, which is a patch with buprenorphine. I'm gonna ignore the chat just so that I don't get distracted, because I'm like a pigeon, like doot, doot. But I was on a patch called Butrans, 7.5 micrograms, and it's a transdermal patch. You put it on, and it stays on for like a week, and you get this continuous flow of, I think it's like 7.5 micrograms per hour for 7 days, and you only have to change it once a week. And it was great. It works really well. It helps so much. But then I have mast cell activation syndrome, which is basically my body decides to be allergic to things for no reason. It just like, surprise, you're allergic now. And so I became sensitized to the adhesive and I couldn't use it anymore. So I had to get my insurance to pay for a different delivery method, which is these little, I'm trying to show it without showing any of my personal information on the farm. So it's these little patches. Buca. I think that's backwards for you guys, but they started me out on these, and they come in these little packets, and it's like a little square of medicine that you put in your cheek and it dissolves. So they started me out at 75 micrograms, and you take one every 12 hours. So it was working, but not as well as the. Oh, that's fine, Melissa. Thank you so much for coming. It was working okay, but like it wasn't working as well as the patch. So this last appointment, my doctor upped my dose, and now I'm on the 150 micrograms. And this is technically an opiate, but it's like the safest opiate on the market. It's called buprenorphine buccal film, 150 micrograms. And I wanted to give you guys an update because a couple of you have asked on Facebook and whatnot how I'm doing with my pain. It is helping. It is helping. Unfortunately, because of the timing, I can't keep going up to find the perfect dose right now because I'm about to have 2 surgeries back to back, and they're going to put me on short-term narcotic medications for that, and I can't adjust my meds anymore right now. So basically, I'm just kind of stuck at this. It's sort of working spot. I also take Norco for breakthrough pain. But what I will say, I really like the buprenorphine because I have not had any side effects like whatsoever at all. I mean, other than the patch giving me the rash, and that didn't happen for 6 months. It was the 7th month my body just decided. And that has nothing to do with the patch. It's a great patch. If I could use it, I would keep using it. But because of my sensitization, my mast cell activation syndrome, it just got funky. And so my body decided to be allergic. So I wanted to give you guys an update because now I've been on Buca for, this is my 2nd month. And well, no, not technically. It's still the 1st month because I was only on the 75 micrograms for like a week. But we upped my dose, we doubled my dose, and it is working. The goal is after surgery and recovery and everything else to get off of the Norco and just have Buca, but at a higher dose be my med. And then I'll only need something for like if I have a dislocation or if, I get hurt in some way, which happens constantly. So right now I take Norco 4 times a day for pain. And the goal is to have it like once or twice a week for pain. After hip surgery, PT, and then finding the right dose of Buca, we're hoping that's the case. I mean, I'm always going to need some breakthrough meds because with EDS, for those of you who don't know, you get dislocations frequently. And so sometimes I'll wake up with like a neck dislocation or a shoulder dislocation. And because of that, I need pain meds that are short acting. Like right now, this is an emergent situation. I need to take meds because I can't stand the pain. And then I have like dog hair in my Daisy's always with me, even when she's not with me. But the goal is to eventually just be on the patch with only emergency breakthrough meds. So it is going well. I haven't changed any of my other meds. I can't take any ibuprofen or NSAIDs for the next 2 weeks, or actually, I guess the next month because of surgeries. And I can't take any kind of NSAID, so I can't take ibuprofen or naproxen or anything else. So I have been leaning a little heavy on the Norco more than I normally would, because usually I would try ibuprofen first, and then if that doesn't work, I would take my Norco. But I'm not allowed to take any NSAIDs because of surgery. I guess it like thins your blood and creates a bleeding risk. So we don't want that. So right now I'm pretty much just kind of like at this, it's not really managed, but it's not a suicidal amount of pain. I know that's like a word that I shouldn't say, but I mean, that's just the truth. It's like in between. While I was waiting for my insurance to cover the original box of this, I was completely unmedicated aside from the Norco, the short acting, and it was that kind of pain. It was horrible. That was the longest 3 weeks of my life. I'm not going to lie. So I have learned since then that I, number one, am a lot stronger than I give myself credit for. And number two, that I chronically under medicate my pain, and I need to stop doing that because my family has like a history of addiction, so I'm always afraid that I'm gonna like I don't know, slide down that hill. But my pain management doctor is always like, trust me, if you were going to slide down that hill, you would have done it already. And also, you are literally the least drugged up patient that I have. Like, out of everybody, I'm on like the lowest, least dangerous meds that exist. She's always reassuring me that I'm not a drug addict. It's just my brain. Yeah, it's just a worry that I have. But she said it's good that I have that worry because I don't ever want to be comfortable taking opiates. Like, I don't want to just get in the habit of taking opiates and not think anything of it. But that's where I am with pain management. As for like surgery and getting ready, my surgeries are at 2 different hospitals and they are 2 weeks apart. So the first one, I go in on the 18th, the morning of the 18th at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not allowed to have coffee, which is devastating. And then I will be there. My surgery is at 11:30, I think, and I will be there overnight until 11 the next day because it's a 23-hour observation post surgery. So after they do the operation, I'll be there for 23 hours. And then I'll come home and I'll have this really neat little machine called a CPM, which will just move my leg like this. And I have to be in that for 6 to 8 hours a day to prevent scar tissue from building up. I've heard that it's very nice. So we'll see how that goes. I'll probably get some video of that and show you guys. And then I will be going to a different hospital, a smaller hospital for the periacetabular osteotomy, or PAO for short, a POW. And that is to correct hip dysplasia in my right hip. So basically what they do, it's my dog talking to me. Basically what they do is this is going to get a little gruesome, so trigger warning. I'll give you a second to mute it if you don't want to hear about it. Daisy has concerns because Daddy went to work without her. So what they basically do is that this is my femur, this is my socket, basically. There's a ball and socket joint. And a normal person's ball and socket joint looks like this. Okay, mine looks like this. And so what they do is they cut the acetabulum out of the pelvis and then they move it over the top of the femur and screw it back in place. And that's the periacetabular osteotomy. And so what that does is then it corrects the physiology. She wants lunch. I don't know if you guys can hear her or not, but she's literally like, she talks to me. But that corrects the dysplasia. I hope you guys can hear her because she's hilarious. That corrects the dysplasia. So after that, hopefully I won't ever have to worry about like needing a total hip replacement. At the very least, I won't need a hip replacement for several more years after that if I do ever need one. So you hear her, she's so funny. I would swear she was a human if I heard her over the phone or something because she talks like she my husband thinks I'm crazy because I have full-on conversations with her and she does not appreciate being ignored. I didn't think about that when I started this live, that it's almost lunchtime. So, but she'll get fed, I promise. I'm not going to let her starve. She's pretty funny. So anyway, the surgeries, the second one, I'm going to be in the hospital. They said 2 to 5 days. So the goal is 2 days, but it depends on whether or not I meet my goals. And people with EDS tend to take a little bit longer to get out of the hospital because there's things that I need to be able to do that I haven't been able to do in years. Like walking up and down the stairs on crutches. I use my wheelchair for like everything because everything dislocates. So I have to bring all of my braces so that I can meet that goal. And then you have to be able to like use the restroom independently, and you have to be able to, I think, like put on your shoes. I don't know. Just normal life stuff, OT, occupational therapy. So depending on how long it takes me to hit those goals, that's how long I'll stay in the hospital. Barring any complications, which there won't be any because I'm visualizing perfect outcome. It's going to be great. But yeah, so that's what's happening over here. August is going to be a busy month. It already is a busy month. I have like 50 million appointments going on. I have to go in on, I think, the 19th and have my pre-admission testing. So they do like your blood pressure, they take some blood, they do your vitals, they make sure that you're safe to have surgery. And then I have my first surgery. And then in between my first and second surgery, I have 2 PT appointments. And then after my second surgery, I have 2 PT appointments, plus my post-op appointment, plus my 6-week post-op appointment. So it's just a lot. There's a lot of appointments happening. But I'm glad. I feel like I'm in very capable hands, and I'm very well taken care of. And I do feel like everything is going to go perfectly and smoothly, and I'm going to heal up great. And then I'm going to be able to get back to my life without this hip pain. Um, but once everything is done on the right side, and I have done, they said 6 months. So once I've done about 6 months of PT and recovery with my right hip, they will go ahead and do the labral reconstruction, tear shortening, and capsular tightening on and femoral reshaping on the left side. So it's not quite as much surgery. They don't have to do the PAO on the left side, but there's still quite a bit of surgery on the left side. So it's going to be a long year. That being said, I'm really grateful that I'm an herbalist because there's a lot that I know I can do to help aid my recovery and boost my mood. And I am grateful for that because I know that there's ways that I can ease my pain that don't involve medications. So, like if the medications aren't helping as much as they should, I don't necessarily have to ask for more medications right away. There's things that I can do from my end. And then to help it heal faster, there's things like comfrey and arnica. I would like to say do not use these things unless you are either a certified clinical herbalist like myself or unless you talk to one. So if you guys have surgery coming up and you need advice as far as herbal supplements go, please contact me. I always give information for free. It's not a problem. If you want me to develop you a protocol, it's going to have to wait. I would say I would be happy to do it. And usually I would be happy to do it. But I am learning right now that I actually have to put myself first. And that is, for some reason, the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. So I keep having to say no to people, and I'm bad at it. Like, I've gotten so many calls this week about people who's, one of my friend's grandma's in the hospital and she's not doing too well. And then another one of my friends lost her dad. And then another one of my friends got kicked out of her house. Like, there's just so many crises, and I'm always the person that they call. And so I don't know how to say no to that, right? Because these are people that I love. They're people that I love. So, like, how do you say, oh, I'm sorry that you're in the middle of a crisis, but I got to do me right now. So it's something I'm learning, and it's very hard. I'm also learning that my friends aren't very good at boundaries. Or at least I'm not very good at enforcing boundaries, and so my friends aren't very good at following boundaries. Like my real friend, my really, truly good friends are. But for the most part, people just forget that I'm taking time, and they still call me. So I don't know. I don't want to complain about it because like I know that I was put here on this earth to be a healer and to help people. But I gotta say it does get exhausting. It gets so exhausting. Like having everybody lean on you all the time and everybody telling you you're the strong one and asking for advice, and it's like I don't want to be strong and courageous anymore. I just want to be small and terrified like everybody else for a while. But I just don't know how to say no to people who need me. Another one of my friends lost her mom. I mean, it's been a busy couple of weeks, both personally and professionally. I do consider that my profession as a healer. Don't always get paid for it, but especially when it comes to like spirits crossing over, people tend to come to me for that, for help with that. I sort of like a death doula, I guess. I don't know, because I'm not in the room with the people, but like I feel like I've been able to help a lot of people with their loved ones transitioning. So, and it's something that chose me. It's certainly not a profession I would volunteer for, but here we are. So luckily though, being a little bit more plugged in, depending on what you believe, um, my intuition is telling me that my surgeries are going to be fine. So it's just a lesson. Yeah, Deanne, it's easy to forget, right? Like you set a boundary and then you forget you have a boundary. It's like if I forget I have a boundary, how's anybody else going to remember that I have a boundary? So I need accountability. I need somebody to remind me that I have boundaries, but nobody ever does. So I don't know how to get around that. I'm guessing it'll be a lot easier to put myself first when I'm drugged up after surgery, stuck in bed, like I can't help you right now. I'm doing something, just a little busy over here. But my husband pointed that out to me last night. He's like, do you realize that you go on Facebook to look at memes and then you spend 3 hours solving other people's problems? And I'm like, I hadn't noticed that. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, just the curse of being a healer, I guess. I don't know. It's a little weird, but I have to go feed my dog because she is giving me a death glare. So I just wanted to come on and let you guys know that my surgery has moved from the initially what was the 25th to the 23rd, and now it is the 18th. So I have surgery on the 18th and then another surgery on the 29th, barring any changes. I have two amazing doctors. I will record stuff. I don't know when I'll post it, but I will try and record the whole process because I want to make sure that anybody else going through this journey has as many resources for information and comfort as possible going into it, because this is scary. It's huge and scary. So I want to, it's funny. I'm going to record my journey with this for other people so they don't have to be scared as I was that there I go again, just learning about myself constantly. So yeah, I'm hoping that I will have some footage from like the morning of surgery, recovery. I'm going to ask my husband to take video too, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm hoping to do another live before then, but you know how I am. It might happen, it might not. It was so good to chat with you too, Deanne. Thank you so much, Melissa, for coming. Thank you, Miss C, for coming. It was so nice to see all of you. And whoever's watching the replay, hi, thank you for watching. Don't forget to drop a little thumbs up down there. If you're not subscribed, feel free to subscribe. I'm not going to force you. You can be here or not. I know I'm not for everybody, so I'm not going to say, how dare you? I understand. Yeah, and don't forget the most important part, drink some water, wash your hands, and remember that you are a precious, cherished, beloved being. And I'm so glad that you exist in my world. Thank you so much for being here. And I will see you guys in the next one. Have a wonderful day and take care of yourselves. Bye.